Hi guys, and welcome to another tutorial from Cisca Stitches. In today's video I'll be showing you guys how to sew neat and professional sleeve plackets with cuff on your shirt sleeve. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you're an old subscriber, welcome back. Please click the subscribe button and click the bell beside it so you get updates when we post new videos. And now we can go ahead and begin the tutorial process. So guys, here is the shirt sleeve pattern we drafted in my previous video, and on this pattern we have our placket cut already done. So I've gone ahead to cut out the pattern on fabric, and this is what we have. I'll be making use of the fabric underneath right here, so that's what we'll be using for this tutorial. So guys, this patch I have here is just to conceal the seam I have on the sleeve because my fabric wasn't enough. We have the back, we have the front, and we have our placket cut only at the back, not on the front part of your sleeve. Your placket cut is on the back, so I've gone ahead to cut it out. We have our cuff right here. You need two pieces of that for one sleeve. We have our under placket and our main placket cut together like so. So here's the right side of the fabric, and on the wrong side of this fabric I've gone ahead to duplicate the markings I have on my pattern paper right on the fabric. So that's what I did. So I just turned it upside down so that it kind of like matches what I have here. Here's the half an inch seam allowance, our 1 inch under placket. Then we have the half an inch that we divided into two to have 1/4 of an inch on both sides, which is what we're going to use to join the under placket and the main placket to our sleeve. We have our 1.5 inch main placket and then a half an inch seam allowance. So I'm going to flip my sleeve right here to the wrong side. Our placket cut is only up to 3.5 inches, not 4 inches. 3.5 inches. You need to take note, even though your placket length is 4 inches. So I'm going to cut up to 3.5 inches, and the same cut we are going to make on our placket fabric. So we're going to be cutting up to 3.5 inches, and above that is our 4-inch mark. And I'm going to explain what we need that 4-inch mark for. So I'll just go ahead and cut this like so. Cut it up to the 3.5 inch, and then we'll have a 1/4 inch on both sides. So we're going to place this like so. Your under placket should be on the shorter side of the sleeve, and then your main placket will be on the longer side. So place right side of your placket pattern on wrong side of your sleeve. We're going to be sewing along that 0.25 inch seam allowance all the way to the top like so. Sew it all the way to the 4-inch mark. Come like so and then come down like that. So guys, after sewing, this is what we have, and then we are going to make our diagonal cuts from the 3.5 inch vertical cut that we did initially. So from the 3.5 inch, make your diagonal cut all the way to the 4 inch. You want to get right to the edge, but do not cut across your seam. This part needs to be very precise. So I'm just going to show you the other side, how it looks. That's the right side, and this is how it looks, guys. If you make a cut very precise like this all the way to the edge, your placket is going to come out very neat. So what we are going to do next now is to bring out the placket fabric, bring it right to the front like so. So just bring it like this. The precision of your diagonal cut is very important in ensuring that your placket comes out very neat. So what we are going to do is to go ahead and press this down. So by the time you press it, if it's not looking neat, then it means something is wrong somewhere. So we'll just take this and press it down, and you would see how this looks. And this is what it looks like after pressing. You can see how neat this is, and this part that we cut out is going to be hidden. So you can see how neat the back is as well. So this is how you will end up with a neat and professional looking placket. So guys, what I'm going to do next is come to our under placket area. This is a 1/4 of an inch. Then we have our 1 inch for our under placket, and then half an inch seam allowance. So I'm going to divide that 1 inch into two, half an inch on both sides. When you fold it into two, it needs to be aligned with the edge of the main placket right here. So it needs to align to that point, and then fold your seam allowance. So you're going to end up with what? A half an inch placket. So what I'm going to do is now stitch right there. Ensure that it covers the seam underneath. I'm going to stitch from that 4" now. Remember, your placket length is 4". From that 4", stitch from this point all the way down. So after stitching, this is what we have, guys. Then we'll come to our main placket. We have a 1/4" here. Our main placket is 1.5" into 2. That will be 0.75". And then we have our 1/2" seam allowance. So we're going to fold that 1/2" seam allowance and then fold that 1.5 into 2. So it's going to align to that point there, that seam we have under there. And then our placket length is 4" plus 1/2" seam allowance at the bottom, that is 4.5". So I just want to show you guys how this is. And then we're going to be marking that 4.5" there, or the 4" placket length. So I'm going to mark it on our main placket. So after marking, we're going to stitch. We're going to top stitch on our main placket, and we're top stitching right from the bottom here to this point, come across the 4" and then come right back down. So after doing that, we're going to now go ahead and we'll be cutting off some excess fabric before we finish off our placket. So, and the excess fabric we'll be cutting off is at the under placket area, because your main placket is going to cover your under placket. So cut off your excess fabric at your under placket area. So I'll just come right here and I'll be cutting just a little bit above the 4" mark. So just use that as a guide. Cut above the 4" mark. So I'll just trim that off and then come right here and trim this off as well. So this final trimming, I'm going to explain it so you don't end up messing up your placket. So come to the under placket, cut above the 4" mark, and then the other cut that I said I was going to explain, right at the spacing you have here, you want to divide that into 2. So this is how it's going to look like. So you more or less like have a 1/4" after your main placket, as you can see. So you have a 1/4" after this point. So that's how you want to cut your excess fabric, and then flip your main placket like so. So we have a placket extension of 1". So I'm just going to fold my 1/2" seam allowance, which is also on this fabric. And then what we're going to do is now top stitch from this point here, the 4" mark, top stitch again so that it holds the main placket and the under placket together. Come right up, come right here, and then come right back down. So that's what we're going to do, and then I'll show you guys how this looks. So this is how our placket looks. Very, very neat, even on the wrong side. So you want to follow this tutorial step by step so you can end up with a neat and professional looking shirt sleeve with placket and cuff. So guys, I'll just go ahead and sew my sleeve with a 1/2" seam allowance. So I'll just fold it like so with right side stitching and sew by a 1/2" seam allowance. So that's what I'm going to do. If you remember, on our pattern, we have pleat allowance at the bottom of the sleeve of 1/2" on both sides, making a total of 1". So we're going to be making that pleat very, very close to our placket. So I'll just flip my sleeve right side out, come right to the main placket area. That is where we'll be making our pleats. And then I'll mark 1" away from the main placket. And then after marking that 1", I'll mark my 1" pleat allowance. So I'll just place the marks I've made. I'll place the marks I've made on top of each other like so. And then our pleat is created. So I'll just go ahead and pin this down. After pinning this down, we'll move to our cuff. So for our cuff, we need to cut out 2 pieces of our pattern on fabric, and that is what I've done. I've placed them right side stitching, and I've gone ahead to sew by a 1/2" seam allowance. So I'll just go ahead and make notches around these cuffed places. We are doing this such that by the time we turn this inside out, it can actually sit well around the curved areas. So I'll just flip it like so. And then before we press, guys, we have a 1/2" seam allowance at this top right here, at the top of the cuff. So we want to fold that in very, very neatly and then press it down. So after folding it, guys, you want to ensure that you have a 1/2" fold at that top right there, and then we'll go ahead and press it down. After pressing, this is what we have, and we'll be sandwiching this will be sandwiching the bottom of our shirt sleeve right into the cuff. So we want to place this edge to edge and then use our dressmaker pins to hold this down. So we're going to hold this down from beginning to end. And as a guide, you want to ensure that the bottom of your sleeve matches the 1/2 inch fold of the sleeve curve. So the bottom of your sleeve should match 1/2 inch fold of the sleeve curve. And then we're just going to go ahead and continue pinning. And then once we are done pinning this down, this is what we have. And we're going to top stitch right at this point all the way to this end. Come right back here, top stitch all the way around, and then come right back up and top stitch as well. So guys, this is it. This is what we have. We're all done with our sleeve. The next thing you will need to do is to make your buttonholes. So you want to place your buttonholes where your main placket is. So right in the middle of your main placket, you place one buttonhole. Where the cuff is around your main placket, in the middle there, you place one buttonhole. And then for your under plackets, that is where you'll be attaching your buttons. So where your buttonholes are, just ensure that you attach buttons at the opposite end so that it can be aligned properly. I hope this tutorial was helpful to you guys. Remember to like, share and subscribe to our channel, and we'll be seeing you guys in our next video. Bye guys.